Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and you're tuned into the hottest news station on the planet, Hot 702.5.
Yo, it's Tavon Greatness Patterson. Want to listen to Hot 702.5 on the go? Download the Hot 702.5 app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store if you got an Android like me.
Let's get it.
Hi. Hey.
What's up? All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name. DJ Khaled. This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars. On hot7025fm.com.
Yeah. Jones. Hey. Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.
All right, it's Thursday. It's 3 o'clock. It's that time. Everybody. Let's talk real estate with Greg Deville right here at Hot 702.5 FM. This is what we do every Thursday at 3 to 4 p.m. We're talking about some of the things about real estate. Now, many of you know when you're paying rent, you're paying a mortgage, you're just paying the landlord's mortgage. And so I want to help you get out of paying someone else's wealth. Today, I want to do a segment on bankruptcy. I want to do a little bit talking about bankruptcy because I've met several over. Let me, by the way, state this event, the Wealth Mindset Conference Las Vegas 2023, was phenomenal. It went greater than expected. It was fun to have done. We had everyone showed up and had given much information that has helped so many. I must say the man cave was where my heart really was. Of course, the whole event was wonderful. But I wanted to speak to those who attended the man cave and how I know when we spoke to many of the gentlemen later on that day or the next day leading up to today, they were sharing how every segment of the man cave was strategically planned out. How that, from health is wealth to budgeting to real estate to finances, it has been a great success. So kudos to everyone that came out to the Wealth Mindset Conference Las Vegas at the Red Rock Conference Center in the Charleston Banquet Hall as well as the Summerlin Banquet Hall. We rented 2 halls for this event, and I'm going to tell you it was phenomenal. Can I get a little volume on me? So, again, here we go. Bankruptcy on today. I want to talk about the bankruptcy. Now, when many of you all have considered bankruptcy, right? Many of you have already done bankruptcy, and you're waiting on the discharge, right? As you know or may not know, 2 years after discharge, you can purchase a home again. You can purchase a home again. We've helped many families. One of the questions that came about from the man cave was, what about the bankruptcy that I did a few years ago? And so I of course, did the real estate segment of the man cave at the Wealth Mindset Conference. We talked about bankruptcy in that many have done it and they're discharged. but they're not aware that the possibilities are here again, that you can also have home ownership after bankruptcy. It's a new day. It's a new start. It's a new beginning. 2 years after discharge, you can do a FHA, VA, USDA loan product, right? 2 years after discharge. Now, I've done several homes with families who've had a bankruptcy. Sometimes a bankruptcy is just getting a fresh start. Sometimes a bankruptcy is just starting afresh, and sometimes it's necessary, right? Because you're too far underwater, perhaps. But before considering it, I would certainly seek counseling about it. I would certainly talk about the advantages, the disadvantages to doing a bankruptcy, right? Because although people think just doing it is going to wash away everything, but sometimes disputing items on your credit report may be well enough versus starting over with a whole bankruptcy, right? So I would ask the questions, because there are several types, Chapter 13, Chapter 7, right? So there are several types of bankruptcies that can be done. With that being said, speaking to a bankruptcy attorney, weighing out the options, what ifs, right? What if I did? What if I didn't? Here's my debt. Here's what I'm looking at. You may have a home, you may not. You have cars that so get those questions. I mean, people think just throwing everything in a bankruptcy is the way out. Not necessarily for everyone, right? Just talk to the counselor. Now, remember this. For those of you who decided to do it, you can own a home again. Now, if you want to consider it, I want you to get a pen and take this number down, or you could text me at this contact, 702-787-7559, 702-787-7559. I want you to reach out. We do have some credit restoration companies on standby to help take your call, answer some questions, right? We know a couple of bankruptcy attorneys that you can speak with as well. Sometimes it's just a matter of disputing items on your credit report. If that's the case, it's not a difficult thing. You can very well do that. 702-787-7559. Greg Deville, Team Deville, Deville Realty Group. Want to give a big shout out to the queen, the beautiful, the lovely Marquetta Deville, who is on standby with the team over there at Deville Realty to take your call. 702-787-7559. This is what we do right here at 702.5 FM every Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. Now, as we're talking about the bankruptcy today, right? Again, it's not for everyone. It's not always the answer. Sometimes, because again, you'll have to wait 2 years after discharge. Now, let's say it took you 6 months to fix some things on your credit. I'm going to be transparent through here and say, when I, back in 2014, 15, began looking at reconsidering purchasing a home, what did I need to do? Bankruptcy wasn't necessary. There were some things I needed to do. Bankruptcy wasn't necessarily needed. It was just a matter of disputing some items on my credit report, dealing with the ones that I could pay off, making an arrangement, getting those dismissed from the 3 credit bureaus, right? Now, you could do it yourself. Sometimes just getting a copy of your credit report can help you determine what you need to do. Some things you can dispute, some of those third-party collection agencies. But if you're dealing directly with, one of the, let's say Sprint, T-Mobile, whatever, right? There are times you can negotiate with T-Mobile. Medical expenses, you can negotiate, right? Even with the third-party collection agency, because most consumers aren't aware. Third-party collection agencies are not advised or authorized to put things on your credit report without proper notification, right? Many of them just throw it on your credit report to attach a lien to you, right? And so that way you have to see them if you ever expect to make a move with, let's say, purchasing a home. Purchasing a car, sometimes they have second chance places, right? So they'll do an in-house carry. So we don't want to compare that to the car purchase. But we talk about, getting wealth through equity. You want to talk about dealing and accepting where you are in your credit report and talking to the professionals. Again, whether it may be bankruptcy or it may just be disputing those items. Now, for us, it wasn't a bankruptcy. It was disputing some of the derogatory credit on our report. Now, the third-party agency, right, we were able to dispute that because we didn't have a debt with the third party, although they bought the debt, right? They bought the debt. Let's use, for an example, Southwest Gas. Well, let's use T-Mobile. You purchased a phone. You didn't pay the phone off. So it went into collections. So what happened was many times they'll write that debt off, right? But they still hold the paper to your signature. So they'll sell that for 10 cents on a dollar, 20 cents on a dollar. So they'll sell it to the third-party collection agency who tries to collect on that debt. However, T-Mobile wrote the debt off, but they can sell the paper that you originally signed. So what happens with the third party in many cases is they're coming after you for something that they purchased, but the real debt was with T-Mobile, you know. And so if once you understand that, you can dispute the debt because the debt that they purchased wasn't with you, it was with T-Mobile. So there's a way to dispute it. But again, there are some things that are not able to be disputed. You need to work out a payment plan. Now remember, and I like to make it personal for those of you to understand better. If someone owes you, you know, you don't want to write it off, right? You owe me $1,500. Let's work out something. You got the $1,500. Let's work out something that you could pay me back. And so many of your debtors, you can pay back by working out a payment plan. Now, once you've paid that off, then here's what you want to do. They're going to give you a letter paid in full. You want to send that to the bureaus, right? Once you send that to the 3 bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and the other one, right? So once you send those, that it was dismissed, they will remove them from your credit report. It may take 30, 45 days, right? Now, once those are removed, guess what? They have a score behind them. Sometimes it's 20. Sometimes it may be, 40%, 40 points, right? It just depends on the debt. Again, speaking to our, credit restoration companies that do this, we do have few, right? I've used them. It's helped me. Is it mandatory? No, not at all. You can do it yourself. Or for many of us who are so busy, keeping up with the dates and things like that can be a little challenging. So we pay people that do that. There are a lot of services available who do credit restoration. And so, again, we have some contacts for you. Contact my team, 702-787-7559. Now, those of you, you've done you want to get into a conventional loan on purchasing a home, that will take you 4 years. Conventional and jumbo loans, right? For those investors, those of you that want to get back into investing in the real estate. So there are some stipulation and requirements that you have to meet. But now when you talk about being a first-time buyer again, many cases you can get in, after the 2 years of discharge, right? You can get back into the program 3 years or more that you have not owned a home. But it gets it back into what we talk about, having that FICO score available. Many of the lenders want to look at your FICO score, right? It's very important to know your FICO and your debt ratio. Just remember, your debt ratio is very important in that you want to protect that. If you have 30-day lates on your credit, right? Those things, they can be removed, but they're challenging because it sets you back, right? Your score gets a hit. It may hit you for 30 points. So if you're trying to go up the scale, you just got knocked down. So make sure you set the date that your bills are due, that you either have a reminder on your phone so that you know when to pay that bill. You want to pay it, preferably 3 days before the due date, right? But certainly not after the due date. Okay? Keep that in mind. Set a reminder or put it on automatic pay. If you put it on automatic pay, the advantage is it automatically pays, right? So you don't have to worry about, did I pay it? Did I remember to pay it? Did I overpay? I don't know. Did I underpay? You just simplify your life, right? Simplify your life. Understand, if you put it on auto pay, you can at least let it pay the minimal. It might be $50, $60. As long as you're making a payment, it's that 30-day late that your score takes a hit, and now you're not looking as savvy to the next lender that you may be working with when it comes to purchasing a home, right? So if you're looking to get into home ownership, these are some of the things you want to watch out for. You want to keep in mind, credit is very valuable. Now, never cut off a credit card. Now, pay it down, but never cut it off. That's cutting off your ability to continue to report. You want to continue to report regularly. So pay it down. You could pay it to zero, but you need to use it, right? Because the activity is important. You know, we talk about residual income, where your credit continues to revolve too, right? You want your credit to continue to revolve. So what I recommend is, if you have the money to pay it off, but use it and keep it under a third, right? So fill up your car with it, right? So every month you use it, you pay it off, or you just keep a low balance, right? But if you're considering getting into home ownership, remember, keep all that in mind, because you don't want to have high balances, because it shows against your credit. Now, high balances, sometimes the creditor will reduce your availability because your credit is high. You're at a risk. So no one wants to take a loss that you max out this card and now he takes a loss. So you may have had a $10,000 credit limit, but now your credit is taking a hit for whatever reason. They may reduce that limit down to wherever you are. Let's say you got a $10,000 and you've used up $3,500. Well, he may cut it off at $3,500 because now you've become a risk because your credit has taken a hit. So now they'll reduce it. Now you owe us this $35,000. We're not really willing to gamble with keeping you at a 10 because you've had some, you know, it reports. They're seeing all of this. And so that's why it's important. Don't get overly excited about credit and buying things that, you know, and that's what credit cards sometimes does to a person that's not disciplined. It gives you the ability to buy things, and then when it comes time to pay for those things, something may have transitioned in your life that you can't pay for it, but yet you have the debt. So what does it do? Now you're 30 days late. Now you're 60 days. You go into 90 days. So it starts reporting that way, and your credit starts, right, getting negative reporting. So now we're trying to get focused back into home ownership. We want to get focused in the home ownership, because I want to keep you in mind is that when you owe, your ability to pay, do you pay on time? Are you constantly being late? You know, what does your track record look like, right? Because all that's taken into consideration when they're talking about selling you a home. Even now, when you're looking at property management, they're looking at your FICO score. They're looking at your ability to pay. Because even with that, just to rent, I've seen cases they want you to have a 640 FICO. Well, that's the same number I could get you a home with a 620. Shoot, I can get you home with a 580. If you've got a 401k on your job, right, I can get you into home ownership with a 401k with a 580 credit score. Ask me, how do I know? We've done it. So when you talk about going to rent, the landlord is selling the house. Well, let's use for an example. You've rented this house for $1,800 a month. $21,600 is what you pay a year. Times 5 years, you paid $109,000. Guess what? You paid $109,000 off of his principal. So now he's going to sell because he's got a great amount of equity in the home. So he takes the opportunity to sell the house, come out like a fat cat, but on your dime. So why not put yourself in position that you now own the home? And guess what? When you paid 5 years at that $1,800, you've paid that $21,600 a year towards your own principal. Right? Now, watch this. In 5 years, you've paid $109,000 down on your principal. Well, guess what? You pay it down, it benefits you because the house gains equity, right? You're getting the equity, go out now. Guess what? 5 years, we gained $234,000 in equity. Now, 80% is about $180,000. You can borrow that money out of your own equity. Your payment's and what we recommend is doing a HELOC, home equity line of credit. Now, if we talk about that right now, remember, I'm not a lender, but I'm giving you examples to what lenders are sharing with me that are opportunities that are available to the buyers. And so I listen, right? So now let's say we get you into home ownership because what you've been doing as a renter is paying the landlord, and he's been taking advantage of the HELOC, they may take advantage of, because remember, the HELOC only gives him up to 80%. If he sells, he gets the whole 100%. So let's say he has $250,000. Well, he gets the whole 250, or 80% of 250. Let's say it's 190,000, right? He takes out 190,000. His mortgage goes up maybe $200-$300. So what does he do? He goes up on the rent $200-$300. So he took out 180,000 and it went up 200 or 300. Well, guess what? What just changed? Your rent just went up. What did you pay for? What was that increase that happened that made him change the rent amount? He just took 80%. He just took $180,000. And guess who's paying for it? You. I asked a gentleman the other day, I said, what is the thing that sits on a counter, right? What is the thing that sits on a counter when you're at the teller at the bank? What is that thing on the counter? The engineer like, huh? Did a Scooby-Doo on me right there. What is the thing on the counter in a bowl when you go to the teller? What's in there? Candy. No, not candy. What kind of candy? It's not just candy. It's a sucker. She guessed it. It's a sucker. When you go to the bank and you're at the teller, there's a bowl sitting there and they've got a sucker in it. So every time you go to the bank to pay your rent, you see where you are. I'm just telling you the way it looks. Why has it got to be a sucker? Why can't it just be candy? Because when we put money in the bank, we really are suckers. If we continue, now don't be offended, because I was a sucker for a while till I learned the difference, right? So I had to learn too. Nobody quite gave it to me that way, but I was a sucker because I didn't know that I was paying off someone's mortgage. And when they went up on the rent, I hadn't realized that they just took $200,000 of equity out. Their mortgage went up $200 to $300 or whatever it was. They charged it to me as the sucker, as the tenant to their property. Now, you can't tell him he can't go up $200. Now, I took out money out of my personal property, right? We took out $80,000 from that 180. We just wanted to pay some IRS and some other things off. I'm transparent on my radio show. So my mortgage went up $100, right? Okay, good enough. Fine with me. $100, no big deal. I was able to pay some things off, bring down some credit cards, and guess what? Wonderful. But had that property been a rental property, I could have very well have gone up $200 on the tenant. Now, it only went up 100. I could have gone up 200, made an additional 100 for me, and paid the extra 100 on the mortgage. Guess what landlords are doing? Because you're not being savvy and understanding this is what's happening. Well, I want you to understand, when this happens, you're getting charged for someone else's benefit. The benefit of them getting the finances, and they're charging it to you. So not only are you paying down the principal mortgage, watch this, you're also paying down that new money he just borrowed. Are you upset yet? Are you getting anxious? Because what I want to do is expose what's happening in the rental world. Because again, a landlord, let's say he has that $235,000 in equity, and he wants to borrow $180,000. He can do that, but it's going to cost an additional amount every month. And whatever that amount, again, whether it's $200, $300 for him to take that $180,000, and he has a tenant in place, I can charge it to the tenant because there is no rent cap. So I can charge that to you as a tenant, which many of you are getting increases every year on the rent with no cap, and you can't afford to move because it will cost you double the amount. So what do? You stay there and you pay that increase of $200 to $300. The reason he increased, and I'm going to say it again, is because he borrowed money and his mortgage went up and he's charging it to you. Now, do you continue to be that thing that's in a bowl on the counter? Or do you from this day forward say, I've got to make a transition from this position, right? Because the prognosis of your diagnosis is you're stuck into something that now that you're aware, you can make change. And if your lease, before you sign another lease, I would rather see you go month to month while you work on this credit and get it where it needs to be. Now, to those of you whose credit is well, but yet you're still paying a mortgage for someone. Don't be the thing that's in a bowl at the bank. You've got, I actually had a conversation with a lady here recently. And she says, but I can't afford to buy where I rent. She said, I have this beautiful home. It's got a casita. It's a beautiful area. I love it. But my question is, how do you fall in love with another woman's husband? Or how do you fall in love with another man's wife when that's his wife? Well, the same analogy, that's his home. How do you fall in love with another man's home? I'm just saying, you've got to understand, if you're going to continue to rent, what if he decides to sell, but you love this man's house? Or even better than that, what if things got tough for them and he decided he wants his house back that you're in love with? But now he wants his house back because guess what? He needs it back because something happened in his life, something happened in his family, something, just all type of scenarios could come about. But you love this person's house that you're willing to pay it off. So let me ask you this question, much like I asked her. Will you go to work this week and give me your paycheck? I'm heavy today. I'm heavy. Will you go to work? So maybe you're paid biweekly. Would you give me your biweekly paycheck? Okay, you said, no, Deville, I wouldn't do that. Hail to the no, right? You wouldn't do that, right? Okay, so why do you do it to the landlord? Every 2 weeks, you're setting a certain amount of money aside to give to that landlord to pay on his mortgage because you're borrowing his space. Because that's what you do. When you lease or rent, you're borrowing someone's space for the month. So let me understand. Let me hear this right. Let me understand correctly. You're okay with giving it to a landlord to borrow his space, but you wouldn't give it to, well, why when you could have your own? If I tell you right now that the opportunity is available for you to have your own space, what's holding you from having your own? Credit? Okay, we got somebody for that. Okay, so credit is where it needs to be. Okay, that's fine. Let's deal with it. Let's accept we're not where we need to be, but how do we get where we need to be? I got an answer. 702-787-7559. That's that one, right? Credit is, so somebody's got, I got good credit. I'm okay. My credit's fine. You meet the criteria of having decent credit, but you still suffer or deal with the down payment issue because that could be anywhere from 3.5% to 20%, depending on what you're looking to do, right? Now, let's say you can qualify for the first time buyer. So down payment an issue, I got an answer for that. I've got answers. I'm Greg Deville with Deville Realty Group. I've got answers. I'm here to do away with the guess. I'm here to take the guesswork out. I'm here to take the fear out. Now, I want to talk to those of you who said, yeah, but I don't want to deal with the house because I don't want to have to worry about fixing stuff. Right now, I just call the landlord and whatever go wrong, he fix it. Well, let me share something. Let me give you another some insightful information. Watch this. The landlord has what we call a home warranty. So when you call him, guess who he's calling? The home warranty company. So he makes the order for the home warranty to come out and service whatever that is you're complaining about, whether it's a refrigerator or the stove or the air conditioner or the plumbing. Let's say it's the electrical. Whatever it is, the home warranty covers the repair. So let me put it this way. Now that you're the homeowner, that same home warranty that your landlord has had since you've been there and you've given him $109,000, Well, I don't want to have to worry about fixing nothing. He didn't want to worry about it either. So what did he do? He got a home warranty. So now, what is Deville Realty going to set you up when we sell your home? Bam, a home warranty. Kill the game. Drop the mic. So we do away with every excuse. What else you got? What else you got? I wish somebody would hit me on Facebook. What would be a reason right now that you think would be just a reason you just don't want to own a house? Give me something. Somebody on Facebook. We're live on Facebook. Give me what would one good reason why you think, well, here's a good reason I wouldn't own a house again. Because I meet people all the time who say, well, I don't want to own a house. Even if you have a swimming pool. Having a swimming pool and a home warranty, guess what? No problem. No problem, right? So give me something that I could work with that would be a solid. I know we talked about you love the house and it's beautiful, but it's someone else's house. How do you fall in love with someone else's house? I mean, you can pay until he decides he doesn't want to play anymore, right? He decides he wants to take his ball and his marbles and go home, right? He wants his house back. So what do you do? Is there a statement coming up? All right. So we're answering it, right? We're settling the thoughts that people have today when we talk about home ownership. Is it money? We got the answer to that. Is it credit? That's not worthy? Okay, we got the answer there. 702-787-7559. Whatever fear you have, maybe it's fear. We didn't talk about that. Fear will cripple you and make you miss the opportunity. We all ask God to bless us. But when the opportunity comes in front of us, fear makes us say, but I don't know. That's the fear, the I don't know. When the opportunity is already here for you to move forward, but because you fear the unknown, but you continue to pay someone else's mortgage. And the unknown is, will I be here another year? Will he decide to sell the house? Because this is a great time. People are selling because the values are going down a bit. Now, we don't expect to have a crash. I don't want to put that in the atmosphere. I don't expect us to have this crash like 05, 06, 07, 09. Those were horrible years. We don't expect that. Do we expect a decrease or decline in the market? Absolutely. Have we seen one? Absolutely. 30, 80,000 in decline. Okay, no big deal. To the person that has to sell, let's say you're upside down, not upside down, but let's say you're in default with your mortgage. You've been getting all these phone calls from the bank saying, hey, you don't even want to take the call anymore because you already know what they're calling about. You just don't have the money to meet the need. So what do, Deville? Contact Team Deville. Team Deville can put that house on the market. I just got a gentleman, $110,000, paid the mortgage off. He was in the process of foreclosure, had moved to California, and the tenants didn't pay the rent. We had to evict the tenants, and guess what? Get possession of the property. We were able to sell the home, pay off the loan, get it out of foreclosure, pay off the mortgage and any lates, and put $110,000 in his pocket. Maybe you got 180, 250, and you're just sitting here with that equity in the house and wondering, how can I get my equity? I'm behind in my mortgage. The banks won't loan me equity from my property. So Deville, what can I do? It's called SALE. You may have to sell the house. Now, if that's the case, we've helped countless numbers of families sell their home, save their equity. Now let me ask you. So we got him $110,000 maybe 2 weeks ago. The biggest thing I spoke to him recently, one of the things he said he felt so much better is he didn't have the burden of the debt. Because where he relocated to, he expected the tenant to pay the mortgage. But when the tenant failed to do so, because remember, let me go back to that landlord. The landlord is depending on you. He's depending on you to pay that money because he has his own mortgage to pay where he lives. So why would you have another man depending on you to pay off his property when I'm telling you today you can have your own and pay off your own property, and I'm going to give you the money down up to $35,000? I hear crickets. What's that about? Because we're making sense. Now you need to contact the team and let's make change about the way you've been living. You go to work every week and you get paid bi-weekly, monthly, however you get paid. Why give it to someone else? I asked you for it. You told me no. The landlord, you just give it to him. Well, I'm renting his house, but why? When Deville's telling you they've got money down, why would you continue to rent? When you know better, you do better. At least that's what they tell me. That's what I've learned to do. I'm asking you today. You know better, you could do better. If credit is the challenge, we've got an answer. If money down is the issue, we've got an answer. If you have a 401k on the job, 580 credit score is all you need. I mean, we have so many answers. I don't understand why would, after today, the phone, I don't know, but I would imagine it's ringing off the hook. You could give the wifey a contact with the team. They're on standby to take your call, 702-787-7559. Or you could call my Northwest location, 702-515-4100. Northwest Las Vegas, 702-515-4100. Now, if you need to text, you can text 702-787-7559. That's the number you can text. But I want to keep you in mind that now is the time to make a move. Don't keep waiting. You've already, $21,600 is 1 year of $1,800. Now, again, I'm just using $1,800. You want to know how much money you've wasted in renting in the last, let's say last 5 years. Calculate however much, like we just did, 18,000 times 12 months, $21,600. Times how many years you've been there? I'm saying 5 years. That's $109,000, right? Is that right? It's $109,000. Then if you're going to stay, no, it's actually $106,000, because if you're going to stay this year at 21, now you're at $109,000. But even $106,000 to give away to somebody? Well, I love the home I live in, but it's not your home. And if the landlord decides to move back or sell the property or even do a refinance, take money out of the property, he expects you. He's dependent on you like your boss is for you to be at work in the morning. They're dependent on you like your children are to buy school clothes when school time comes. Like your children are when the light bill is due, that you're going to keep that Wi-Fi going, right? You're going to keep that cable up. They're dependent on you. So is the landlord. But if Greg Deville tells you he's got 35 up to 35,000, if you qualify, you can have it. It's just a matter of qualifying. You will need a little skin in the game, right? You do need some funding to be able to help get this number. But however, let's say you have a 401. We have a lady who recently, she didn't qualify for the programs that were available. And she was a little disheartened, and I understand. And she called me, she said, Mr. Deville, it didn't happen for me. I didn't qualify. My question was, do you have a 401k on your job? She worked at a hotel, was working casino or whatever it was she did. And she says, you know what? I do. I said, contact your 401k. Ask how much do you have available to borrow. Now, understand this. 401k without penalty is when you purchase a house. The only time you can use your 401k without penalty is to purchase a home. Now, if you want to buy a car, it's 10% penalty of your own money to borrow from your 401k. But to purchase a home, there's no penalty. Somebody said, wow, I didn't know that. And that's why the Greg Deville Show is going on 8 years radio-wise, is we want to empower the community to do better. Because again, once you know better, you could do better. So 702-787-7559. That's the number you need to have to make sure you're reaching out to the team to get where you need to be. Stop paying another man's mortgage while you go to work every day. He's getting the benefits. He's getting the equity. He's getting the wealth. I know you like the house. You've decorated. It's all nice, but it's not yours. So let me help you get yours that what? You could decorate and make it nice to where you want to be. Because I'm going to tell you, once the landlord calls, say I'm selling the house, if he doesn't get another investor to buy the house, you got to go. And typically, it's 30 days from the date of it going into escrow. So can you imagine you've been here 5 years, you got 30 days to get out. That's a tough move right there. But that's where it's at. That's where it's going to be. So understand, if you don't make a change, the landlord may make that change for you. And you'll be hard pressed 30 days to pack up all your goods. I know it's decorated too. You got it now. I've been in some nice rent. I think they own it. They rent. Got it laid. Really, really nice. But the landlord decided he's going to sell the house. And they've given you notice. And then they're asking you to allow them to let allow them to let prospective buyers come in and view the property. So not only have you paid $109,000, $120,000, $140,000 off of his mortgage, now you got to cooperate and let strangers come into the house so they can see the house for purchase. And then once you let them in, they say, okay, we want to buy. Well, now you have 30 days to relocate. If you start now, let's get you in position. You can fire your landlord. That's right. Fire your landlord. I don't care if you're in the lease. Meant to be broken. As long as you're purchasing a home. Now, just to get out of a lease because you want to rent somewhere else or the rent's too high and you're in the middle of a lease, I've seen where people have had leases. The window of opportunity to purchase has come their way. You talk to the property manager or the owner, they may keep that last deposit you have. But guess what? Move on. The window of opportunity is there. So what? You may have a few months left. Work it out. Be optimistic. They'll say, you know what? I've seen this in many cases where the landlords have given them the opportunity, right? Where they have worked out something. They'll keep the deposit. They may pay one more rent, one more month if there's several months left. Or you could stay there. Guess what? Keep paying the mortgage for someone else or take your opportunity to advance into your own property. We're going to give you the money down. You may have to have some skin in the game or use your 401k on the job with that 580 credit score. Whatever it is, it's available and it can be done. Don't continue to be the thing in the bowl at the bank counter for somebody else because they're depending on you to pay the mortgage. Well, you call it rent, but it really is you're paying a mortgage. You're just paying someone else's mortgage. So they're expecting you to pay their mortgage while they reap the benefits. Fire your landlord. Fire the landlord. Make a point that I'm going to stop being that thing in a bowl on the counter, paying for somebody else so they can get the equity that should be getting myself. Now, once you get this home 4 or 5 years down the road, guess what? You build an equity. 5 years we've been in the house, we had over $230,000 in equity. We were able to borrow whatever. We could go up to $180,000. We didn't need that much for what we were trying to do. We just wanted to do some simple things because we wanted to keep equity in the home. It went up $100 for $80,000. Again, I would have just charged it to the tenant, right? If it were a rental, but it was my personal home. So again, take advantage of what's available, creating wealth through equity in the real estate market. HELOC, for those of you who have a home, your credit is above a 660, you own a home, take the opportunity, like this last client recently, use some monies from their home. They refinanced their home. They got $65,000, $70,000, paid a couple things off. I think they paid the car off or something. So they would reduce that payment. Then they put like $65,000 on another house in Henderson. They kept the previous house and what? Rented out. They got them a person with the bowl on the bank. What's in the bowl on the? They got somebody to rent the house, pay the mortgage. Now remember, they're depending on that tenant because they can't pay 2 mortgages. So the landlord is depending on you. I mean, fire the landlord. So they bought the next house knowing they can afford the next mortgage, but they could not afford 2 mortgages. So what did they do? They got a renter for the other mortgage, and if the renter misses a payment, they're in trouble. So they're depending. The landlord is depending on you. He can't afford 2 mortgages. Don't let him down. Don't you dare. He really depended on you to let that landlord down or put yourself in position 5 years down the road, 3 to 5 years down the road. Guess what? Now you're a landlord. Now you renting out the house that maybe it was a smaller house like this family. It was a smaller home, right? They wanted more space. And this house, they wanted a swimming pool. Guess what? They took the money out of the existing house, did a home equity line of credit, took that money out. The payment went up $150. They bought a beautiful 5-bedroom in Henderson with a pool on the corner, 3-car garage, totally remodeled, granite counters, new cabinet, all the appliances, all the bells and whistles, simply using the equity out of the other house. And when we rented, we found them a tenant. We found them a tenant to pay that mortgage on that other house. Guess what? They're going to pay the mortgage for them. But the landlord is depending on them to pay the mortgage. Like your landlord is dependent on you to pay his mortgage. Fire the landlord. Because you've taken care of your, or maybe you haven't taken care of your credit. But we're gonna show you by texting 702-787-7559 how to get back on track with your credit. Let your credit get where it needs to be. And what are we gonna do? We're gonna make you the landlord now. We're gonna make you the owner. 3 to 5 years, guess what? 3 Christmas trees, 5 Christmas trees later, guess what? 5 Thanksgiving dinners at the house. And now you're ready to pull that equity and put that money down on something that you really want. Maybe this first home won't be your dream home, right? It might have to be a town home. But guess what? It's your home. Now you don't have to worry about somebody coming in and say, oh, by the way, I've heard these property management companies lately been calling on behalf of the landlord. Property management, sometimes they don't even call, they just put it in the mail. Let this serve as your notice that the landlord or the owner of the property has made the decision to sell the property. We would ask that you would allow us to show your property. Now remember, it's your house as long as you pay the rent for the month. You don't have to allow them, but they're asking for your cooperation. You could do it if you choose to. Now, they may serve you with the 30-day notice if you choose not to comply, so that they can get you out of the property, so that they can show the property. I've literally had to evict tenants to show the property. I offered a person one time $10,000, at least the seller did, to at least let them show the house. They wouldn't comply, so they had to get evicted. Unfortunately, things happen. So they're asking you to comply so they can get a buyer. And once the buyer comes in, guess what? They open escrow. You've got 30 days to find you somewhere to go. After you paid this, the man has been dependent on you these last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, however long you've been there. I met a lady lived in the house 11 years. And guess what? She paid the mortgage off. And the landlord decided he wanted to sell. She was 80 years old. Living there 11 years. Paid the man's mortgage off. She said, Mr. Deville, been here on my radio show. Mr. Deville, I've been here all these years. And she was only paying like $1,100. Nowhere you're going to find $1,100. She was on a fixed income, retired school teacher. Guess what? Had to go. But fortunately for her, she had decent credit. We were able to sell her a condo, something she could actually afford, living on a retired fixed income. But now, guess what she never has to worry about again is a landlord selling the home. So I'm here to give you some solid truth and wake you up to where you are. Again, if that landlord sells, he's been dependent on you all these years, and now you've got to go. Contact my team. We would be glad to help you get into whether you're buying, selling, or investing. Let's say you want to purchase commercial property or you want to lease. We help you with commercial. We help you with selling. We help you with buying. Whatever your heart desire. When it comes to real estate, Greg Deville, Deville Realty Group, LLC, license number B1001887. We're here to help. My contact information is 702-787-7559. Greg Deville, Team Deville, Deville Realty Group. Look, The engineer told me I got to go. She gave me the finger, gave me the sign, told me I got to get out of here. And I got more information. I'm just out of time. But if you want to talk more about it, feel free to contact me at 702-787-7559. Listen, Las Vegas, till I talk to you next Thursday right here, Hot 702.5 FM. You have a great weekend. Be safe. And I'll talk to you next time. May God's best be yours.
Yeah. Jones. Hey, Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.